Chris Matan here, Real Estate Machine Show. We're going to talk a little multifamily. We're going to talk off-market and on-market deals. I want to define them. I want to debunk some of the myths out there on what off-market really is. Is that where buyers find all the deals? Is that the holy grail of trying to find a deal out there in this marketplace? So, as you know, my home base is Cleveland, Ohio, Northeast Ohio. And I'm looking at the market right now and I'm seeing 30 to 40 properties, multifamily properties. When I say multifamily, I'm saying 5 units and above. That's going to be the definition of multifamily properties. And looks to me like there's about 30 or 40 deals out there in the, let's say near Cleveland, Akron, Canton market. And that is on market. And I'm going to define on market. It's very simple. On market means that you're going to see this on LoopNet, on Crexy, on CoStar, on the MLS, on the various platforms. It's going to be readily available to see for anybody. It's proactively being marketed either by the owner or by a broker. It's listed. There may be a listing agreement out there somewhere, but it is out there publicly. It is on the market and 30 or 40 deals out there right now. Now I didn't do any of the research to see how many are under contract, how many have sold in the last like 30 or 60 days. But suffice it to say, Cleveland is not the biggest market in the world. So 30 deals is really not a lot. But I think market times are a little bit longer. There is a theory out there that if a property is on the market, especially a commercial property, that it's already gone through the usual suspects, the people that, the real buyers out there already know what it is. They're not looking at that stuff because it's either overpriced or it's, there's a perception that it's already been watered down, so to speak. And there's no deal to be had. Where a deal when it's off market, there might be that perception that, not everybody knows about it. Maybe there's an inside track to try to negotiate directly with the seller on this. And maybe there's an opportunity to get it for a favorable price. Um, Sometimes I think that's the case. I think that perception is reality. I think that off market and on market ultimately is a positioning strategy. It's a marketing strategy. Um, but every once in a while, just through conversation and being out on the street, you meet somebody. Yeah, I want to sell. You talk to a guy, you put a quick deal together, and all of a sudden it looks like it was a really, really good deal for everybody. And maybe even from a price standpoint, you advertise that deal and everybody's gonna be like, oh wow, I could have bought that, or I would have bought that at that price, or now it seems like somebody got a steal. And but it's not necessarily always the case. Pricing is pricing is positioning. And in Cleveland, the multifamily market in Cleveland is very, very small. And, there's a handful of players out there that are local and they have a lot of property. They're controlling or managing, several hundred units. They know how to underwrite. They know what to expect. They know what the market is. And, that is a difference between, say, an out-of-state buyer. An out-of-state buyer is looking at a lot of pro formas. They're comparing the market in Cleveland to maybe the market that they're at. And without really understanding the nuance of the hyper local market and the tenancy involved and the operation of the building, where some of these local guys, they really understand the nuances on what it takes to operate some of these buildings. And it's meaningful, it matters, and it translates into the offers that they prepare too. Because the sellers, like it or not, are still kind of tied to 2021 pricing, and that doesn't align where expenses are now approaching 50% of income, if not more, in some markets. Sewer and water is expensive, insurance is expensive, property taxes are rising. All of those things, the rest of the utilities, everything is getting more expensive. To change a toilet, cost you, if you have to hire somebody to change the toilet, forget it. I mean, you're gonna pay $500 to get that done. if you don't have somebody in-house or some real streamlined type of handyman out there. So it costs money, pricing these things. But back to off market and on market, I work both, and I think it's a matter of aligning with the seller's expectations and how they want to position the property, how they want to market the property, and what's best for the seller. If I am a broker, right? And the relationship between the broker and the seller and the broker and the buyer is really important when it comes to off market and on market. I can get approached by another broker with a deal that's quote unquote off market. Now all of a sudden, is it in fact off market? I just had a situation where there's an owner in town here, and he had sent me the marketing package for a property that him and his broker, he's got a broker, are going to bring to market, and he wanted me to get a first look, so to speak, and which I was grateful for. I'm glad that he was able to do that, and he highlighted the fact that there is a broker co-op fee available to me, and gave me the information ahead of time. I was grateful for that. Now, once I got the same information from another broker 3 days later, then all of a sudden I'm like, well, now it's just really, really out there. The community is small, so there's no, now it's just a public listing, even though it's not public yet. It's being perceived as a public listing because it's being fanned out to anyone and everybody out there by the seller. And, we all like a proactive seller and a seller that's really invested in the sale of the property. However, you got to be careful because the broker that you hire may have a particular strategy that they want to implement. And by fanning out all of these, these offering memorandums to anyone that's inside of your database as a seller, you might be doing yourself a disservice. You may not, but you might. So anyway, it just kind of goes to the relationship between the broker and the seller on how you plan to market. Um, and then on the flip side, when you're, as a broker receiving this information, and if I were to have a buyer, I'm gonna, how am I gonna position this? Am I gonna position this as off market? Am I gonna position this as pre-market? Maybe pre-market. That that would be the way that I would position it. If I know somebody that's kind of in that pool of buyers looking in that particular geographic location, for example, I may put that offering memorandum out there. I don't even use offering memorandums because I can't even say it. So I might put that out there to a particular client or two that I've been working with and say, hey, listen, this is coming to market. It's kind of pre-market right now. The seller sent me this directly. Thought you may want to have a look at it and see where it goes. I'm not that pushy guy. I'm not the pushy broker. I'm going to let everybody, the guys that are, the investors that are in this space know what they're doing. And I'm not going to try to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I'm going to present an opportunity, and it's up to them if they want to dig into it. If they want to dig into it, I'm the co-pilot. I'm going to co-pilot it and get them all the extra information. Maybe set up a tour. Let's walk the property, and perhaps prepare an LOI, and take the path towards trying to acquire it. But I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to say, hey, listen, this is a must see. This is a must have. You got to see all that kind of stuff. It's not for me to say. I present. I present in an honest, capable way, and then I let the client kind of guide. I kind of use the cadence of the client to guide which way we're going to go on it. So anyway, I think that off market, on market is ultimately a strategy. I've used both. I think there's a place for both. Some deals absolutely positively need to be put out there on like the MLS or maybe Crexy or LoopNet, because they deserve is not the right word, but they should be positioned as appealing to the masses. Let's get it in front of everybody, and let's see who's going to win. Let's see who the serious inquiries are. and then work with those inquiries. If there is a very, very special, interesting deal out there that really should be catered to a select few, that's a good candidate for an off-market deal. If it's in a very high-profile location, for example, definitely if you don't want to disturb tenants and stuff like that. But if you've got a really ready, willing, and able seller that or owner that wants to take the property out there, put it out there to a select few people, whether you call that testing the market or not, I don't necessarily think it's testing the market, but in a way, if you put it out there to the people that are really buying it and or capable of buying it, the real operators, and they're not going to bite on it, then you know something's off, you know. So that comes down to positioning, at the end of the day. So anyway, on market and off market, is a interesting strategy to think about. I use them both. I like them both. And you know, the way that I work as a broker, I look at things a little bit differently, I think, than the average broker out there. I'm a business owner. I do run a separate business ultimately. And, I'm not going to be pushing a sale on anybody. I'm going to work at your cadence. I'm going to be the presenter. I'm going to be the conduit. I'm going to be the guide to the transaction and put opportunities in front of you. The people that I work with are savvy enough to recognize their own opportunities without me drilling down on it. I can present in a very non-confrontational way. Here's the deal. Here's the opportunity. Tell me what you think when you're ready to tell me what you think. And if that's in the first minute or if that's in the first week, that's kind of up to you. But the opportunity is out there for you to evaluate, and I'm alongside. Again, I'm the co-pilot along the way. So anyway, I'm going to sign off here. But if you've got a property out there that you're interested in selling or even entertaining the idea of selling, to see what the market will bear, and then let's look at your global picture on what it means to sell, why you're selling. Are there any tax implications? Are you looking to roll it into another building? Are you looking to grow? Are you looking to scale back? What the overall goal is. And we can have that kind of easy conversation and see where we could take it from there. Until then, have a great day, and I'll see you next time on the Real Estate Machine Show.